Hi, so unlike most other breakdown videos, I'm going to get straight to the point at the very beginning. This is the very best setup to use for search and destroy. So if you're trying to maximize ADS speed and recoil control for very sweaty lobbies in that, this is what you would want to be using. This isn't for Warzone. Now this gun has a 625 rounds per minute fire rate. That's 10.41 bullets every second. And at 3 rounds to kill, it would take you 288 milliseconds to kill somebody on average, which is at all ranges that this thing will feasibly hit somebody in search and destroy. This has the longest barrel, so that will be out past 45 meters, which you're realistically not going to shoot many people outside of that range ever. And if you get a headshot, that does go up to, say, 88 milliseconds or 188 milliseconds. Either way, very, very quick time to kill if you land the headshots. And pretty dead center average for ARs anyway. But it does have the added benefit of being a 3-shot even to the limbs. So that's a good thing. And yeah, if you want to know why this here is the very best setup, watch the rest of the video and I'll go down and break it all down in great detail. Yo, welcome. Alright, I'm doing a breakdown series, super in depth. I'm going to be going over the time to kill, in depth, frame calculated, math calculated, everything, ADS speed, you name it. You're going to be here with me, we're going to break down every detail. And let's get straight into what I mean by the breakdown of the weapon. This isn't going to be something like Handler or Ace, for example, where they have it pretty simple. And they just tell you after they've done everything. I'm going to show you in depth how everything's done, but specifically for the reason of making the best possible setup for a weapon. And the best possible setup for a search and destroy game. Very, very sweaty lobbies, which means you want fast aims, like aim down sights, and really good recoil control. So generally, you will see in this series I'm making, I will never use a sight because that just takes away from the gun's attachments and its best possible use case, which I want to have the fastest possible aim down sight speed while also maximizing recoil. And you might think this is pretty simple, but it is not, and that's where I'm going to go into depth. I won't be making such a big introduction in my future videos, but I wanted to let you know. So right here is this setup. And what you see now is the compensator, the largest barrel on the SCAR, FS close quarters, stippled grip, and Merc. The reason I have this setup, this here is my all-round setup, and what in my opinion is the very best possible setup. However, there is a slight alteration that is also usable, in fact better in a different use case. And that's with the different grip, which is this one here. This grip can give you better recoil if you're crouching, and it's actually not that much worse, as you will see, when you're not crouching. So look at the recoil pattern here. So, and now in the crouch test as well. So as you'll see, it's all pretty reasonable actually. Let's whoops. And I'll just skip ahead so you can actually see what the other one looks like as well. So this here is the other setup I showed you with the different foregrip. And you'll see that the recoil is actually pretty much exactly the same. I'm pretty sure it is identical recoil reduction. It might be 1% worse, but the crouching significantly different. So as you can see here, its recoil control, which just start here, is only a little bit worse. I'd say yeah, so 1 bullet will go higher. It's 1 bullet higher, so about 1%. I would be pretty accurate in saying. It's not that big of a jump, however, it's still really good recoil control compared to the base. And it is also still very linear. It does have a little bit more side-to-side bounce, but I don't think that's actually changed at all. It's kind of just contrived because it doesn't change the bounce. It's just by luck. But the incline is very slightly smaller. The main difference being the length of the crouching recoil control significantly different. So it is actually a better gun for that use case, but worse in every other situation. Not by too much, not by too much, as you can see. So now we're going to continue on, and I'm going to be showing you the difference in crouching. Now I do mess up my recoil control here, but as I said earlier, it's kind of irrelevant because of how easy it is to control anyways. And now we'll skip ahead to when I use the other one. And as you can see, I kept it very tight after the initial bounce, which I just messed up on my own. But with this, this is the Merc foregrip. So just so you can see which one this is. The one currently being used is this one, the Merc foregrip. And I'll just take you in close and show you. So, as you can see, they're both very, very stable. After I messed up the initial bounce, it's just all on point. This here, super on point. The recoil control with the Scar when you're crouching is very, very good anyways. So even though it is technically a pretty big difference in the crouching recoil control, which would be very good over a much longer distance than what I've shown. So if you're playing Arklov Peak, for example, and you go to B Trench to challenge the church side people, you will notice that it is much easier to hit those snipers who are trying to mount up or trying to peek up on the tin roof. You'll be able to hit those pixel peaks a lot easier with the other with the bipod stock foregrip, but not by much really. So I don't actually recommend using that, and I'll show you why. Now there is one more stock I wanted to show you, and as you can see, it's going to be it's going to be this one here. You're probably thinking, hey, how's the ADS speed, right? Like, it's a little slow. Why are you using collapsible? It's essentially no stock, right? Why are you using this one? This gives you movement speed. Well, if you see the aiming stability, right, they both give you negative to aiming stability, but as you've probably noticed, the Scar is almost pinpoint accurate. It doesn't sway very much at all. But with this stock, it is atrocious. Like, so much so that it drastically affects your overall recoil. And I'll show you why now. So, here we are with the no stock. Alright? Just look at this, the sway on this. It's huge. It's like swinging left and right. And what this does is while you shoot, that recoil sway, it causes a huge bounce, even when crouched. Like, this has gone up, and then the recoil has swayed to the left, and then it's gone dunk, 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 dunk. Whereas with these ones, zero bounce, because it's so accurate. Anyways, as you can see from the recoil control, it doesn't go side to side. And aiming stability and aiming like recoil stabilization both play a part in that. But the stability plays a huge part at range, and with this stock, it even at that close 15-meter range, it makes a massive difference. So never run this stock. You will find you miss tons of your shots, and it is just not worth it. The recoil reduction is not as big as you'd think. I mean, not the recoil reduction. The ADS speed boost is not as big as you think. The movement speed is a lot bigger, but really, again, not at all worth the downsides. And watch again, ready? Like this, here's the ADS speed, but I'll show you that later. And I'm trying very hard to keep this very stable. But as you see, there's another bounce. It just can't handle it because it's moving side to side so much. So I don't recommend using this stock on it, simply because it makes recoil control at any feasible range that isn't like this distance, anything over 15 meters, you're gonna miss. You will miss them. at least once. It isn't worth it unless you're getting really close quarters. Like, just by at that point, every gun beats you. The SCAR wins against, I'd say, an average amount, or even most. It's top tier at mid to long range because it's a consistent 3-shot. However, if you're going up against an M4, an MP5, a BSS, even the FAL will all destroy you within this range. You shouldn't be trying to fight people within this range. This is when you're retaking a site or you're already defending a site and you don't have a choice. At which point you'll be ADS'd anyway and you just hope to try and get the jump on them. But if you're trying to challenge people, challenge at longer ranges. Meaning this stock, useless. Don't use it. And now let's try the, and look at the regular recoil pattern here actually. So as you can see, compared to the previous one, the recoil on this thing is massive. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the bullets will go way past where the other two's recoil reduction goes. 8 bullets. Like, look at these jumps. This is insane. And as you can see, the huge bouncing left and right. Like, just jump, 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 jump. Like, that's between 3 bullets, that is a pretty big distance to go. You could imagine them at, say, 30 meters, 40 meters. That will miss. That's not going to hit them. They're huge jumps. Especially this one here after the 4th bullet. Whereas before, super tight, super tight. Like, you can even tell in the recoil patterns here. Now, with the ADS time, which is what we're going to calculate now, I start ADSing when it reaches this time. Hold on. So, 39, 38, and then 37, ready? But I'm going to start as soon as the frame starts to move towards it. So as soon as you see that reticle move, boom. This here is the start of that frame. I'm not sure if you could see the reticle move there, but this is the ADS time. And as soon as it's, oh, whoops, let me zoom in for you because we want to get all that juiciness. So as you can see, we can go really close in and the reticle vanishes. So now it's technically dead center accurate, but I like to wait until the scope itself is centered. So now it's accurate and now it's centered. So that there is roughly, if you look, it is 90 milliseconds. That's pretty good with this scope. Well, with this no stock and the stippled. 90 milliseconds, not bad. Like, look at this. So as you can see, 0, 9 at there. So it might be 95 milliseconds. It might even be 99 milliseconds. I can't go further than that. However, anything under 100 milliseconds for ADS, really, really quick. That is half the human reaction speed. So that's pretty good. Like, if you were to just play it, this is very quick. Like, you cannot react to that if someone was to try and shoot you. It's very good. You know it's happening, but super quick. Now let's get to the other ones. Alright, so here we are with the next one. Now, the millisecond. Alright, so as you see, this is the very millisecond that it starts to go, like on the frame. Now, every frame jump that we go is about 10 to 15 milliseconds at our current frame rate. 8, 9. Now, as you can see, this here is where it usually is. It takes roughly 2 to 3 more, because this is 100 milliseconds, microframes. Really not that big, which is huge. And you could say here's perfectly accurate now, but it's not actually dead center, so it will have that left or right initial sway. But once it gets centered, yeah, around 100 to 110 millisecond. It's a very small difference. 20 to 30 milliseconds can add up to your time to kill, but overall, it's not worth having such a massive increase in your recoil control. So 110 milliseconds to even 100 milliseconds, still very competitive, like ADS speed. It's not as fast as the SMGs, which just get crazy at 70 sub, 80 sub. So it's not an SMG though. But for AR, that is still pretty decent. It's an okay setup, and I think that's what really matters at the end of the day, is you want to have a decent setup. So overall, after seeing everything, I hope you have come to the same conclusion as I have, that in most of your games, you want to be running this setup. If you're playing Search and Destroy with a SCAR, this setup here is the best. You could reduce the barrel and get this one here and still have decent range, but over 40 meters, you might even 3-shot or 4-shot if you hit a limb, which isn't what you want. So you kind of want to hit that. I have the 20 pound just for maximum recoil control. Gives it the best you can. And yeah, you'll be slightly faster with the 17-inch and stuff, but overall, I'd just say the TAC-20 is just so much better, and really the downsides of keeping it over the other barrel is just not worth it. This here, in my opinion, is the very best setup you would get for Search and Destroy. You may decide that you don't like the iron sights, at which point remove the barrel, the stock, and chuck on the iron sight. Chuck on the sight. Some people don't like the ammunition, so if you really don't like how much ammo this has, you could swap it out for a 30 round or a 20. I'm fine with 20 because it only takes 3 shots to kill. I find that I don't often require a whole mag to kill 1 or 2 people. If there's 3, I definitely would run into some trouble if they're not really close, or if I don't fight them kind of spread apart, so I can time my shots more carefully. But the 30 round will allow you to dump, which is good, and it gives you more in reserve. That is the kind of Search and Destroy exceptions, but that is not the most efficient. As I said, if you want to be the most efficient, going with the regular setup here that I showed you with the Merc 4 grip is the best. Thanks for watching my breakdown video. I hope you liked it. And yeah, real quick. I did create this setup, and it makes your recoil completely laser beam, but you're slow as dog shit. Don't run this.